World War II, humanity's darkest trial. The year was 1918. The guns had fallen silent, but the world was not at peace. A war had ended, yet the groundwork was being laid for another, one that would spread across the entire globe. World War I had left devastation not only on the battlefields, but also in economies, societies, and collective memory. Europe was exhausted after so much destruction. Empires had collapsed, borders had been redrawn, and millions of people were no longer alive. But the greatest danger lay in the deep unrest created by the peace treaties signed after the war, especially Germany. The Treaty of Versailles pushed the country not only into military defeat, but into psychological collapse. Loss of territory, heavy reparations, a weakened army, and the humiliation of national pride created a deep sense of anger and resentment within German society. Italy faced a similar disappointment. Although it was among the victors of the war, it failed to achieve the gains it had hoped for. Economic hardship, widespread strikes, and weak government shattered public trust. This environment became fertile ground for radical ideas. The rise of fascism. In 1922, Benito Mussolini came to power in Italy. He presented himself and his government as the embodiment of order and national pride. He portrayed the parliamentary system as weak, ineffective, and divisive. Instead, he promised discipline, authority, and national unity under centralized rule. Fascism was an ideology that subordinated the individual to the state and the government. There was no room for criticism. Opposition was silenced. The press and the legal system were brought under control. This model soon drew the attention of other nations. The rise of a leader in Germany. In 1933, Adolf Hitler rose to power in Germany on a powerful wave of popular support. He promised the German people that he would restore their lost honor. He rejected the Treaty of Versailles. By reorganizing the army, he strengthened it with heavy and light weapons, backed by a ruthless internal control mechanism. European states chose to observe these developments with concessions, hoping to preserve peace and avoid a repetition of World War I. But this approach was opening the door to a new and far greater catastrophe. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria in a new surge of power. Soon after, it seized a large part of Czechoslovakia. European states issued diplomatic statements, but no concrete action followed. This silence did not stop aggression or brutality. It encouraged it. The outbreak of war. On September 1, 1939, the German army invaded Poland. This was a step from which there was no turning back. Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. In its early stages, the fronts appeared calm. But this calm was merely the stillness before the storm. In 1940, Germany turned its focus toward Western Europe. Advancing through Belgium and the Netherlands, it launched its attack on France. A modern, fast, and coordinated method of warfare was used, Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. France fell rapidly. Paris was occupied by German forces. Much of Europe now lay under the control of Nazi Germany. Britain resists. Germany's next target was the United Kingdom. But this time the war would be fought in the skies. In the summer of 1940, the Battle of Britain became the first major example of modern aerial warfare. The German Air Force unleashed relentless bombing raids on British cities. Civilians were deliberately targeted. London burned night after night. Yet the United Kingdom did not surrender. British resistance became one of the first major turning points of the war. The war expands. By 1941, the war was widening. In June, Germany declared war on the Soviet Union. The world was witnessing the largest land operation in history. Millions of soldiers clashed across a front stretching thousands of kilometers. At first, the German army advanced rapidly, but Soviet resistance, harsh climate conditions, and logistical failures eventually halted the Nazi advance. In December 1941, the war became truly global. Japan launched a surprise attack on the American naval base at Pearl Harbor. The United States had entered the war. The world was now fully engulfed in conflict. Dark years for humanity. World War II was not fought only on the front lines. Civilians paid the heaviest price. In Nazi-occupied Europe, a systematic policy of annihilation was carried out. Jews, Roma, people with disabilities, and political opponents were sent to concentration camps without distinction between civilian or soldier. Millions were brutally murdered on an industrial scale. In East Asia, war crimes committed by the Japanese army revealed a brutality comparable to that of the Nazis. Civilians were targeted indiscriminately. Cities were looted and reduced to rubble. The war wrote one of the darkest chapters in human history, in blood. Turning points,